All right, here we have a piece of box elder, which is really beautiful wood. It's got a lot of red in it. Uh, it's probably about 16 inches by about 9 inches deep. It's got a little tiny bit of, I'm going to say, cherry stain on it. I'm not sure I like the cherry stain, but it's okay for my first attempt. It's got some clear urethane on it. Very pretty wood. I turned this green. It's my first attempt at turning something green. Here's a second piece of box elder, which I think turned out fantastic. Look at the natural colors in this. I mean, unbelievable on the colors. This is a coat of clear urethane. I'm in the process of putting a couple more coats on it. I mean, the red just pops like crazy. I'm very, very pleased. I think this is probably going to be one of my favorite pieces so far to date. I mean, very beautiful. Inside, I went with a kind of iridescent pink color, which I think makes it pop even more. I'm very, very pleased with this. I like the pink. Stands out really nice. It just gives it kind of like a wow factor. I love this piece. Okay, here's a piece of cherry. Got my first piece of cherry milling here. This is probably 53 inches by 30, milled down to probably right about 1.5 inches. This is rough milled. It has not been finished yet, but it is milled. Going to do some probably resin work in the gaps. Here you can see I throw some water on here, and this is just to give you an idea what it will look like when it's got a clear coat on it. I mean, the grain in this is really nice. Probably going to end up making a coffee table out of this, a small coffee table. Again, this is my first piece of milling, so I'm kind of excited. I got a couple other bigger pieces of cherry that I'm also going to make possibly a larger table. We'll see. Real nice grain though on this. Looks really, really sweet. I'm thrilled with this as well. It's going to be live edge as well. So can't wait to get this finished out. Really, really nice looking grain. 30 inches wide. All right, here's just a few of the items that I've made over the past couple months. This is my very first piece of segmented vessel that I've put together. It's oak on the bottom. Again, it's a whole piece oak on the bottom, then two segmented rings, and a cherry top all put together. Again, first experimental on segmented work. This is my second segmented project, which is from an old door, probably about 130 years old. Repurposed wood. It's got a cherry ring on top, and this wood is really, really beautiful. I'm not sure what type of wood it is, but it is just utterly beautiful. It's got a dark mahogany stain on it, but the grain and the way this turned out, I'm just really thrilled. Next here we have a piece of oak. I believe this to be red oak. I'm not positive, but it's got some spalting there. I left just a taste of the sapwood on it just for texture. And the grain on this, it's got some medullary rays in it. You have to look for them and under certain light conditions, but really fascinating, the medullary rings in this piece of wood. Beautiful piece of oak. Next we have the same thing with the big cherry. This is probably 17.5-inch cherry bowl. I've got some green and gold fill in some of the cracks in it. This piece needs refinished. I'm going to refinish this piece, but this is a large piece of cherry end grain turning. Very difficult. Again, I need to refinish it. But it does have some pretty green resin in it. I like the green resin with gold flecks in it. So this is pretty nice. This is one of my favorite. This is a root ball from a non-fruit bearing cherry. Very difficult to turn. It's very hefty. I left it about an inch thick, and it's very heavy due to the fact that I achieved exactly what I wanted to do on this. I wanted to find a lot of the root voids, and you can see those in there, the dark areas. That's where the roots were packed with dirt. And this is just a fantastic piece. So far, it's got to be my favorite. Cherry root ball. I've got 2 more root balls I'm going to do. This is a piece of sassafras. I decided to spin down something like a couple bud vases, a large bud vase. People tell me to turn it upside down and hollow it out and make a make a wine glass, a Chardonnay glass out of it. I may do something like that at a later date. You can see here it's got a wormhole in it. It goes all the way up through and out the top. Very nice sassafras wood piece, though. Now we're coming into, this is also sassafras. This is just basically, you know, call it a coin jar, something of that nature. I originally had poured resin in a large piece of this sassafras, and you know, it didn't work the way I wanted to, so I broke it down into 3 individual parts and made these next three pieces. Little loose change jar. The resin is very beautiful in it. Unfortunately, this is when I first started turning. It's got a small hole in the bottom. Okay, again, this is sassafras. It's got some epoxy resin in it. This is originally a part of 3 that I cut out of a larger section on a bad pour. That was one of them. This is the second piece, which I really like this piece. This piece turned out really, really nice. Just a little, you know, it's more artwork than it is functional. But the resin work in this just turned out perfect. It's a perfect resin mix with the natural bark, and if it hadn't been colored, you couldn't really tell the difference between the bark and the resin. But the resin's got some colors, blues, pinks, and everything in it like that. This is a really, really nice piece. This is also sassafras wood. I like this piece the way I spaced it out, left some natural bark on both ends. It turned out very, very nice. Very well balanced. You know, you got some bark, sapwood, and heartwood all in there at one time. Very pleased with this. It looks really, really nice. I like this piece a lot. Another piece out of the multi-piece that I poured epoxy in. This is just like a little pencil jar. Very pretty colors in the epoxy. Again, I wish the large piece would have stayed together, but I ended up cutting 3 smaller pieces out of it. This I call my mouse house. This is walnut. That's the pure walnut shape. That was an actual void in there. This is curly walnut, which you don't often see curly walnut, but the color in this and the wood grain is just really, really fascinating. It's my little mouse house. Just beautiful grain, unbelievable grain in this piece. I hope you like my stuff. You know, catch you later.